It is December 12th, 2023. We are in another week of Creighton basketball, but most importantly, we are 9 games into the season. We are right about a quarter of the way through, and we're going to give some thoughts on specifically the Jays season, answer a couple of questions we got in our mailbag, a poll that was going around a little bit. But the first things first, we're going to introduce my guest as always, Mr. Dennis Thamanos.
Hello, how are we doing?
We're doing very well, I'd like to say. Jay's back up inside the top 10 this week, just in time for 2 important clashes against UNLV and Alabama. But the first thing we're going to do, just to kind of open up this episode, I think this might just become something we kind of do going forward, just riff on whatever's on your mind. So, Mr. Dennis, you got any topics on your mind?
Airing your grievances. Yeah, I do. I think we like to dunk on college basketball media in general, but we like to say, like, oh, look at our buddy John Fanta. Like, John Fanta is like, let's call it this. He's the lovable fat guy that no one can make fun of. He's Chris Farley. He's John Candy. John Fanta's not good either. Like, he at least likes this. He has a passion for the sport, which I respect, but he still doesn't know what he's talking about. So for you guys who saw what kicked this all off was, and I've kind of gone back and forth with him before, but he tweeted, in this week's AP poll, Florida Atlantic is still ranked ahead of Illinois despite losing to the Illini this past week. Colorado beat Miami 90-63 yesterday to go 8-2. The 7-3 Hurricanes have been blown out by Kentucky, and the Buffaloes remain unranked. Okay, let's break this down. First off, the AP poll, I'm not going to defend the AP. Actually, I will defend it a little bit. I think it's fine. Like, the people who get that upset about the AP poll in general, fine. And to address this first point, Florida Atlantic, Illinois, it's one thing if you have it's slightly different. You can't in an AP poll say this team beat that poll. It's like a collection of people doing it. Right. Like, one person might have, like, I don't know, Marquette and Wisconsin. So it's like, where's the line? Like, Wisconsin beat Marquette. Like, should Wisconsin be ahead of Marquette? Yeah, like, if you try to go in this round and round circle, like, this team beat that team, it's literally impossible. Yeah. And so you're going to have some people who think, like, Florida Atlantic lost to Illinois. I still think Florida Atlantic's better. Illinois should be ahead of Florida Atlantic because they beat whatever.
Right. This isn't college football where you're playing like 6 real opponents every year.
Yeah. If you try to make this fall again, let's rank Northwestern ahead of Purdue. Let's go do that.
Yeah.
But what I replied to this was, since we're gonna critique the AP ballot, John Fanta has a 3-loss Duke ranked in the top 20 despite a loss to a bad Georgia Tech team and not even a remotely impressive win. Like what's Duke's best win? Is it neutral against Michigan State? They suck. Right? Yeah. They suck. Like, okay, what are they doing ranked? If that's any other program in the country, they're not ranked. And then he has San Diego State ranked when their last 5 games are OT win versus Washington, OT win versus an awful Cal team, 1-point win on a buzzer beater when they were down big to UC San Diego, a loss to Grand Canyon, and a 1-point win to UC Irvine, which is bad. So then when I wanted to do some fact checking, and I thought, okay, let me see what my buddy John Fanta said. Like, let me make sure I have this right in my head. So I Googled John Fanta San Diego State. Then I found this tweet from December 5th from @John_Fanta. San Diego State needed a buzzer beater to beat UC San Diego. That's why I didn't rank the Aztecs. Didn't think they deserved it. But in AP poll fashion, if you're near the top 25 and you win, you just get in. San Diego State isn't top 25 caliber in my mind right now, getting commanded by Grand Canyon. So, they did not get ranked the week before. But then, as in John's words, they got commanded by Grand Canyon. Then they followed that up with a extremely impressive last-second 1-point win over UC Irvine. That was then enough to rank them. So, after not ranking them the week before, getting blown out by Grand Canyon, and beating UC Irvine by home at 1 was enough to put you in the rankings. That makes no fucking sense, John Fanta. Like, that's so stupid. That's so bad. That's terrible. Like, I don't get it at all.
Yeah. Like, it exemplifies the nonsense of these polls to begin with, which is that nobody can watch enough games to actually keep up with this many teams.
No.
Like, even people whose entire jobs are to rank these teams cannot do it properly.
Nope.
Right, which, in a sense, is the problem that we're experiencing in a lot of sports right now, namely with college football on them, is that everyone just plays narrative ball.
Yeah.
You know, like that, and that's what it's going to come down to. I've gone back and forth on Fanta. Like, it's great. He's a good champion for our league. He's very passionate. He'll go and talk positively about the Big East on, you know, national podcasts or whatever. Yeah, he's a bit much for me.
I'll just go hire Big East Bar. Let's do a little resume comparison real quick. San Diego State, 8-2, 32nd in KenPom, lost at BYU, who is maybe decent again. Their metrics are inflated because they've blown out a lot of bad teams. They played one real team and lost to them. And a loss to Grand Canyon. Their best win is, I guess, overtime against number 51 Washington on a neutral site. That is 8-2 San Diego State. Let's go to John Fanta, unranked Wisconsin. This is 7-3 Wisconsin, who has lost to Tennessee at home, at Providence, at Arizona. They have beaten Virginia on a neutral, Marquette at home, and Michigan State on the road. And they're 15th in KenPom. That's objectively a better resume.
Yeah.
Like, if somehow the tournament, if we did a 25-team tournament team right now and San Diego State got in over Wisconsin, that would be ridiculous.
Correct.
John Fanta, your rankings suck. Half the AP poll sucks. If you want to champion yourself as a fan of the sport, I expect more of you, and you cannot shit on the AP poll as a whole and then put that shit in.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're a fucking symptom of the problem.
Even, you know what? Fuck it, one more. Let's do another blind comparison. So that was 7-3 Wisconsin. Here's a 6-3 mystery team. They also lost to Arizona, this time at home. Road Arkansas, road Georgia Tech. Their best win is neutral Michigan State. They do not even have a second best win. That is John Fanta, 18th ranked Duke Blue Devils. Explain that shit to me.
Yeah.
17th in KenPom. That's egregious.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I mean, I'm not going to even attempt to play devil's advocate here.
There's no devil's advocate.
There's nothing to say. Polls are dumb. They're usually good at least telling you what the big matchups are, giving you an idea of where seeding is going to be, but only kind of. We have better tools now to examine who good college basketball teams are. So if you're still like, you know, living and dying by the AP poll, you're doing it wrong at this point.
Yeah.
But it's also appropriate to say if you're going to be a critic of it, don't be a hypocrite of it.
Yeah, do better then. And I'm not going to get as like the person who was, what was it, like week 2 who had Marquette as like their 4th ranked Big East team, where it's like, you're so stupid, like I'm not even going to address you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't expect anything from half of you. Like the lady from Portland who's probably watched one college basketball game in her life, like whatever, I don't expect anything from you. John Fanta, yeah, if you're going to criticize the poll, you're going to champion yourself as this diehard fan of the sport, do a better job.
Yeah. Yeah, it is your job, right? So you're getting paid to do that. You better be fucking good at it, or you're going to piss people off who think they could do a better job.
Yeah, like me.
Yeah. Where do you get these jobs, man? Like, I
don't know.
He's a decent broadcaster though. He's just very loud. I don't want to come out as a total enemy of him. I think he works very, very hard, but yeah, it gets annoying. My rant, my bother is gonna be on the crowd this weekend.
Okay.
And this is when I go back and forth. Am I being too hard on our own fans?
We can sort of tie this into the mailbag question.
Yeah, because we got a mailbag about the atmosphere. Miller Sampson, I think it was. The atmosphere this week was not good. What do you do to change it? I know what your answer is, so let's go to your answer first.
My answer, and again, everyone's going to hate this answer. You want to change 5,000 less seats. That's how if you truly say I'll do whatever it takes to get a good environment, it's 5,000 less seats.
Yeah.
Because you look at these big, great, like you look at Allen Fieldhouse, it's half the capacity. Like you look at UConn and their 2 arenas, everybody says the small arena is better. Like it's too big of an arena, and it's fine for the big games, but it's simply too big of a venue to get that like deafening loud.
Right.
Like, and again, this is like picking the top upper echelon. Like I went to Kansas for a January Iowa State game last year. Like that game got louder 10 times during an unranked Iowa State than I've ever heard CHI.
Right.
Like if you really want to make the environment better, you play at a smaller venue.
Yeah.
Like which is why I think doing a students only game at Sokol or something like that. Like I think one bye game at Sokol would be fucking sick.
Yeah.
They'll never do it.
No, I proposed that idea as a sophomore. I even emailed someone in the athletic department telling them they should do that.
Yeah.
Don't think it got very far.
Probably not. But like as long as it's this big of an environment in like Omaha's a small relative, like compared to like a New York, which not a good college sports town, whatever.
Right.
But like it's gonna be like that. Like on a Saturday where there's other stuff to do, I'm sure people are out holiday shopping. Like that's just kind of what's gonna happen. Like,
It doesn't have to.
it doesn't have to be that bad, but it's never gonna be an electric environment.
No, here's the thing. Like, I don't want to complain about the environment being poor for a Saturday game against Central Michigan when you're favored by 31 or whatever it was, right? Like, that's fine. Because I think it's almost ridiculous if you're, like, going crazy the whole game when you're beating up on nobodies. It should have been fuller. I mean, there are more people that showed up that have season tickets. Like, honestly, what are you doing? That's better than going to watch a top 10 team.
Yeah.
I just think if it was this way 4 years ago, it would have been packed. I think we're starting to get complacent with the fact that, or we're just starting to take it for granted that we have such a good team.
Yeah,
probably. And then it'll always be like this because it's been like this for 4 years now.
Probably.
So that bothers me a little bit. As someone who went to every minute, I missed a game against Montana. It was a similar thing. I think it was a Saturday in December, my sophomore year. And I still regret it. Like, I still think about not going. We won by, like, 28. I still am mad about it. Because why not? Why would you not go to... And that was our NIT year, and I was upset about missing that game, right? Like, Why would you not go to every game you can? Like, tickets were $1. What were you doing that was, more value for your money than that? You get to watch one of the best offenses in the country. One of the best teams, if not the best team we'll ever have at this school.
Yeah.
What are you doing in Omaha, Nebraska on December 9th that's better than that?
Yeah, it's a fair point.
1 o'clock game. Like, show up. And I'm so sick of the people who leave early.
Oh,
What are you doing? Like, where are you going? What do you have to do? Was it going to be a lot of traffic getting out of there for that game?
Well, it's almost got to the point, granted, I technically live in Iowa, so I go the opposite way, but it's almost like staying the whole time is like reverse speeding traffic.
It is.
By the time you leave, like a lot of it's filtered out. Like, I don't think I hit any traffic on the way out. I was home in like 3 minutes longer than
Which
I normally
garage do you park in?
I have a secret spot. I don't park in a garage.
Okay.
Can't say to our masses of listeners.
All right. Because, I go out the Mecca, like, Riverside part, and it's honestly, even on the games where it is really crowded, you're out in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not worth it. What are you doing? You got to get up for work on Sunday morning?
Yeah.
You gotta go stop at Home Depot on the way home. Like, honestly, what are you doing that is better? Has the 55 minutes of game action really been that taxing on you?
Give a lot to our...
People were leaving at the under 12.
They give a lot to our Bluejays.
They do. I mean, they pay a lot for those seats, and you're leaving at the under 12. Like,
this is why we need more sports gambling. Get people invested in the spread. I was invested until there were 2 minutes left.
Yeah. Yeah.
$5 free bet. Do you think? I wonder if that would ever be a thing, like a $5 free bet. This. I mean, like I don't know what your return is, but like, imagine that. Like a marketing, like as a marketing ploy, you give like all new customers who sign up like a $10 free bet on home team spread and buy games.
It's kind of fun.
I've heard worse ideas.
Yeah. It'd be fun as like an experiment. I think they're trying. That stupid brickin' for chicken thing they're doing is designed to try to get students to hang around till the end.
Yeah, which
at the end of the day, I'm sorry, they're not going to stay for a chicken sandwich if they're going to leave anyways.
Yeah, if this was 2004, maybe.
Yeah.
McDonald's reputation's taken a little bit of a hit.
Yeah, so we've like the Godfathers thing. I'm sure it used to be interesting to see if we'd ever get to 75.
Yeah,
but
when you hit 75, like the 14-minute mark.
Yeah. So yeah, I tweeted like a whole big long thread a couple of years ago of like all the changes I would make to CHI. I do think getting rid of or moving the Blue Crew would actually do well. No, seriously, it creates a barrier between students and the game where they aren't as engaged with it. They're not interacting with the players. Like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, shit-talking the players is part of being in the student section.
Yeah, you are really far away, though, in the student section.
You didn't used to be. Really? They created more room there, so Blue Crew could... That's what I mean. Like, it's gotten so much worse. Because now they moved... Now the cheerleaders are there. Now Blue Crew's right in front of it. It's so annoying. And I know, like, the other thing, too, is Mecca has gotten worse in the past couple of years about, like, you're not allowed to say shit anymore. Because I honestly, like, I'm trying to remember. I wasn't at school that long ago, but I don't remember ever being reprimanded for saying anything, and Lord knows I would have if that was a thing.
Yeah.
Like, I fucking threw a towel at Chris Mack after that Xavier game my freshman year, so they clearly weren't paying that much attention to us. But yeah, the crowd was pathetic. It was bad. I don't care if you're going to come and wine and cheese and sit on your hands, right? You paid your ticket. At least you're there. Yeah. You know, like the lower bowl filled in. It's not those people I'm complaining about.
Yeah.
It's where the fuck was everybody else? You know, like, and I don't know. Kids have sports, right? So like.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a big like basketball tournament weekend.
Yeah, but I don't know. It just, don't take this team for granted. Don't take the fact that we have these games to go to and you know you're going to win. Don't take that for granted.
Yeah.
Kansas wouldn't, Duke wouldn't. Like smaller venues, but they're going to sell out.
And I also say the other thing limiting is like, if you want just a straight fact and limitation, like you have 4,500 undergrad students.
Yep.
Like that's always going to be, you're never going to, your section of diehard fans is much smaller than a Duke or Kansas. Like,
yep, we're not producing graduates who become diehards, not as many.
Well, and like just from a student perspective, like the 2,000 biggest basketball fans at Creighton pound for pound are much less basketball fans than the top 2,000 at Kansas, just because numbers.
Right. Even our biggest games, no one has to camp out for them, right?
Yeah.
And that's again purely a measure of demand. Like I think people would if they had to. Like if the only way you were getting ticket to a UConn game was to camp out, they probably would.
Yeah, but when you have a 19,000 seat arena and 4,000 students,
they're gonna get in. Yeah, so why worry about it?
Yeah.
Which is good. I mean, honestly, I think that's a good thing. Like I was already when that game started to complain about the students. It filled in. There were, I think, 2 empty rows at the back. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that's fine. A lot of people, I'm sure, are already home.
Right. So we've got, but you're like, somebody pointed out, he's like, oh, all the kids are home for break. I'm like, you're telling me we don't have 400 kids that live in Omaha?
Yeah.
That have a free ticket to a college basketball game on a Saturday afternoon?
Yeah.
Show up. So yeah, it ended up being better than it looked like it was going to be 5 minutes before tip-off, but still not a good look for the fan base. We keep trying to talk ourselves up as being one of the great college basketball venues.
Which you're absolutely not.
We're not.
You're not even
I think we're
you're like
in
the top 25.
We're somewhere between that like second and third tier,
Probably.
But either way, I think we do about as good as you should expect to do as a private school with that kind of size of arena.
Yeah, probably.
You know, like we have a much smaller enrollment than Marquette, than Villanova. I think we do a pretty good job considering the circumstances.
Yeah, and I know like Marquette has a lot better environment. But yeah, like you said, it's much bigger enrollment. They seat 13,000.
Yeah.
Like, is what it is.
Yep. No, there are complaints, but honestly,
there's some complaints. There's going to be complaints about crowds. There's going to be complaints about volume. Some of it is just like, it kind of is what it is.
Yep.
And it's never going to change.
Yep. So our other mailbag question, I apologize, but I didn't write down who wrote this, and we're using my phone to tape it. So the question is, thoughts in general on the Big East, like the overall strength of the conference. I've been saying it since our preseason preview. I thought it was going to be bad.
Yeah, Big East sucks. Like,
it's bad.
It's very clearly, and sorry Providence fans if you're listening, this suck my dick. It's very clearly three tiers of Marquette, Creighton, UConn. Which, quick sidebar, have you seen analytically how similar Marquette and Creighton are?
Yeah.
Like, separated by .03, same offense, Marquette .1 worse in defense. Like,
well, if you look at shot charts, it's even crazy, because us, and UConn, practically identical shot charts.
Kind of 3 of the same teams. They're 4, 5, 6 in KenPom, but UConn's a step above.
I agree.
At least according to this. But it's clearly Creighton, Marquette, UConn, Tier 1, DePaul, Georgetown, Tier 3, the others in Tier 2.
I think there's a little more separation. Like, I don't think Seton Hall or Xavier are in that next tier
but I think
necessarily.
They could be. But if Seton Hall beat Villanova, you'd be like, okay, fine.
True.
But like if Seton Hall beat Creighton, you'd be like, what the hell? And if DePaul or Georgetown beat Seton Hall, you'd be like, that's surprising.
I think it's an interesting way to gauge it. Honestly, amongst UConn, Marquette, Creighton, how many losses to teams other than each other? 2 each,
We'll have
maybe?
a couple. Xavier will pick off a couple people. Yeah, I would say that's probably about right. Xavier will pick off 1 or 2 of them at home. Villanova will get 1 or 2 of them. Still would shock me to see St. John's get one. Providence will get 1 or 2 of them at home.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask me right now, I think we've got 4 or 5 losses in Big East play. Probably 5, just accounting for variability. Like, I think UConn's a better team than us right now, so I think we lose at Gamble, and I'll give us credit for the 4 points of home court to beat them here.
Yeah.
Marquette, I think we're right there with. I think depending on our defensive plan, I mean I'll give us the loss in Fiserv, but I think we get them here.
I don't know. I'll be interested. I feel like we don't do if you look at what Wisconsin did to take Marquette out of the game, we don't really do that.
No, we don't. That's kind of what I meant. Is it would have to, because it's not the
really
same as
that
like
matchup for us.
I don't either, because the thing we showed in the Nebraska game is our ability to take out a guy who is catching the ball to initiate his offense, not a guy who starts with the ball.
Yeah.
We have our drop coverage pick and roll defense, but they clearly figured that out last year.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if we'd go to a zone again like we did last year. Did we do that?
We did it for a couple of possessions last year to get back in the game.
Yeah.
I don't remember if Kalk was on the floor when we did it or not, though.
He was on the floor to intentionally foul.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this also going to be kind of a tangent. Like, I think we are really good. I feel like we're going to struggle to beat other good teams.
I kind of agree with that.
Like, I'm going through the top 10 now. Like, Houston, I think we get bitched on the glass. Arizona, absolutely not. Purdue, Edie has 30 and 20. UConn, I think they're better. Marquette, I think they're too athletic. Baylor, maybe because they don't play defense. I mean, we're going to see basically Baylor this weekend.
I think Alabama is the best matchup of the, top group that we can hope for.
Yeah, you're going to see Baylor light this weekend. Like BYU, I don't really know if they're that good. Tennessee, I think we'd get bullied. Kansas, Dickinson would probably bully us on the glass.
It'd be interesting. I don't know how many of those teams I love our matchup against.
We could use a 6 bad 3 or 11 bad 3 seed, 15 seed, 5 seed path again. We'd be so kind.
Yeah. The Big East is going to give opportunities this year to get those 1 and 2 seeds.
Yeah.
We're at the point where as long as we take care of business this week, anything worse than a 2 seed would be disappointing.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be shocking at all if the Big East had a 1 and 2 twos.
No, not at all.
I don't think shook out.
I think it almost has to shake out that way unless one of the top 3 really kind of fucks around in conference play.
Yeah. When you look at other side tangent here, but people like to bitch about the Big Ten every year and saying they get 10 teams in the tournament every year and they don't do anything in the tournament. That's because the Big Ten is insane in the non-conference. That hasn't been the case this year. For all the people who say the Big Ten sucks, it shouldn't get 10 bids, they're not going to get 10 bids this year. They're probably looking at 5 or 6 because they've been look at the Big Ten's non-conference record the last 5 years. It's been ridiculous.
Yep.
It's not going to be that this year, and you're going to see I think Purdue probably gets a 1, at worst a 2. I don't see anyone else in the Big Ten coming for a top 8 seed.
You mean
top 8
teams? Yeah. No, you figure Illinois will be on the 4-5 line, maybe.
Probably, I think Illinois, Wisconsin land around 4-5.
Yeah, Northwestern maybe a 7-8.
Yeah, then Pac-12, I think you have Arizona gets a 1. Big 12, I think probably. So all right, fine. Let's do math. So you have, I think, 1 Big 10, 1 Pac-12,
1 Big East.
I'm just doing it as in general
yeah.
top 8.
Yep.
So 1. So what do you say? One Big 10, 1 Pac-12, probably only 1 ACC at this point, maybe 2.
Yeah. I mean, what would have to happen for it to be 2?
Clemson is that good, and one of Carolina or Duke figures it out.
If Clemson loses 6 games, they're not getting a top 2.
Yeah. I mean, if Clemson, fine. Carolina's that good, and Duke figures it out.
Sure, I guess.
I guess that would have.
I'd
slot them in for 1.
Sure.
I think 1 is safe. There's a path to 2.
Yeah.
Whereas the Big Ten, I can't see how Big Ten and Pac-12, I can't see how they would get a second.
It would have to be Illinois going 16-4 in conference play.
Yeah,
even that's maybe not good enough. No.
Yeah, I can't see that happening. So that's 3. So then you have 5 spots left for probably Houston, Baylor, Kansas, Creighton, Marquette, UConn.
Yeah, that sounds
I
about
think
right.
that's pretty cut and dry how it shakes out. Maybe the Lobos if they don't lose another game this year.
I'd almost be shocked if it's anything except that. Like, of course it will be. Oh, we didn't talk SEC.
Oh yeah, I don't know if there's a top 8 seed there. I don't like that conference at all.
If one of them like comes out decisively ahead of the pack,
Yeah.
like of the little Kentucky A&M Tennessee group, but I don't know that that's going to happen. I can see them.
Tennessee's always going to be their best metric team, and they already have 3 losses.
Right.
And like the way they play, they're going to take losses just because they have trouble scoring. Like Ken Pom has them 23-8. Like, that's not getting a 2 seed.
I was just going to say, like, what's the loss bar 7 or 8 where you're just not going to get a top 2 seed? Kentucky could because they could because they darling them and give them the boost that the other.
They'll
ones
darling
would.
them, but they're going to lose a ton of games.
I agree. A&M could run the table. I don't see it happening.
Like go undefeated or
no?
do well?
Like a 3 or 4 loss SEC.
Can't get there.
I think they could. But.
They're currently 7-3, and they play semi away to Houston. So they're already going to have 4 losses going into conference play.
So you lose 4 more, and you're probably dead.
KenPom has them 11-7 in conference. They have a tough draw. They play Tennessee twice. They play at Auburn.
Yeah. All right. Well, then
Alabama.
it's starting to look kind of clear then.
I think if you want to say one SEC spot, so I think you have 10 teams vying for the top 8 seeds in our eyes.
Sure. Yeah. It will be a little disappointing if we don't end up with one of them. You lose this week and forget about it. You can still get there, but if you lose this week, your eyes on the season start to change. It starts to go back to all right, shit, now we've played 2 good teams and lost to both.
2 good teams
right?
and lost to both, yeah. Because I was clearly, this is their worst team in a long time. They suck.
Yeah, they're not good. Nebraska, Michigan State win notwithstanding, they're not good.
I'm shocked Michigan State lost that. As somebody who is as low on Michigan State as anyone.
Yeah, it just seems like the math for beating Nebraska is really easy. And if you're not doing it, to me that says you have bigger problems on your team.
Be able to shoot a 3-pointer better than a Division II varsity team, and you probably beat them.
And play tough defense on one guy.
Yeah,
basically. But yeah, we're not going to have a whole lot of opportunities for resume-defining wins. Like we got the big ones for sure. You go on the road and beat UConn or Marquette. That's
you're going to have
deal.
a couple huge opportunities. And you're not going to have like many low-end quad 1 games.
Correct. Yeah.
And we'll see what Providence does. I'm still down on Providence. Your fans suck. I hate you. I don't think your team's good. But maybe.
You're going to get the away at the Dunk will be a quad 1.
Yeah,
road 3.
Road Providence win, no matter who they are, is always. If you walk out of there with a win, you don't question it.
Yeah. Same thing for Nova. Like. If nothing else, they've shown they're perfectly capable of beating good teams, even if, again, I don't think they are a particularly great team themselves.
Yeah, again, we touched on it, I think, in the preseason preview. Like, they have the talent to be in that upper echelon. They're just coached by the second-best Fordham coach the last 2 years.
Have you actually watched, their rotations he has them doing?
Who's
playing at the same time? It makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
I didn't break this down enough to really speak intelligently about it now, but I'm watching the combination of guys they've got out there. I'm like, you have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think he fundamentally misunderstands how to align a basketball team. Like simple stuff too, just who's guarding who, where is your advantage, who are you playing through. And I know Moore went out in a game recently, so that probably has something to do with it.
Yeah. The sign of them losing to Drexel and then beating UCLA without Justin Moore, you're a bad coach team.
Yeah.
You beat North Carolina.
You've got a ton of talent.
You beat North Carolina and lost to Penn. Your coach sucks.
Yeah. You've got top 25 talent.
Yeah.
You have a bottom 25 coach.
Can I also segue this into a little bit of a different point, because Nova's the best example of it, is another pet peeve are the people who act like you have to root hard for every Big East team in non-conference. Like, I get the sentiment behind it, but like, you're so incredibly flawed. Like, one, fuck Marquette. I will always root against Marquette. I'll always root against UConn. The joy a UConn loss to Mississippi Valley would bring me would so far outweigh, like, oh, what does this do for conference metrics? Like, be a fan. Like, you're not a Big East fan at Big East Barroom. Like, you don't need to do that. And my other extension of this is, like, not learn how conference ratings and analytics work. Like, I saw people when that TCU shot, which I shouldn't have counted, although it did cash a parlay, so take that. Shouldn't have counted, but they're like, oh, like this tanks the Big East. Like, do you realize like a 1-point loss and a 1-point win are the exact same thing?
Right.
Like, in analytics, like it means nothing.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be looking, like, Creighton's not going to get a 3 over a 2, and you're just like, oh, if only that TCU shot would have counted against Georgia, it wouldn't have counted. Like, think of what this did to the conference. Like, Georgetown sucks anyways. If you lose to them, it's a bad loss. If you win, it's a game you should have won.
Yeah.
Whether that shot went in or didn't. That's not how this works. Like, no, if you want to get mad at a team, you can get mad at Nova for like losing to Penn, losing to St. Joe's, losing to Drexel, but still having all the talent in the world. Like, that's fine. That I understand. But like, acting like when you're saying like, oh, like we needed Marquette to beat Purdue and Maui, like, guys, that meant nothing. Like, they lost by 3 to Purdue. That's what they were supposed to do. If they'd won by 1, it would have done the same thing.
Like, they're at what, 6?
Yeah, they're at 6
right now. Yeah. I mean, would they be 3 maybe? Sure. Like, but
probably not. They're 2 points. Yeah, I mean, like, whatever. They're 3.5 points behind Purdue. Like,
okay.
Purdue missed that last free throw. Tyler Kolek gets fouled, makes a half court, makes the free throw. They're 2.25 points behind Purdue. It doesn't matter. That's not how conference ratings work.
And I think what the fundamental misunderstanding is, so it's not good. Like, it doesn't affect anything.
Not really.
It affects your individual resume, like it always does.
Yeah, and like I said with the Big Ten earlier, like the Big Ten going, whatever. Like, if you want to say the Big Ten last year going 25-5, like, yeah, that helps you a lot. Like, the Big Ten going 20-7 last year versus 7-20 this year, like, that's a big difference.
Yep.
The Big East going 19-8 versus 20-7, that means nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I can assure you that if your team is the last team out come March, and you're a Xavier fan, it is not because Seton Hall lost by 12 to Iowa.
Right. Well, and really, what does Georgetown beating TCU at home
that's
mean?
what I said. Like,
you know, like.
Yeah, if Georgetown wins that game, it's not like you drop a home game to Georgetown. You go, actually, that's not a bad loss because they beat TCU 2 months ago.
Yeah, it's like the Holy Cross game suddenly didn't happen anymore. Yeah, that's not how that works.
Yeah, okay, quick soapbox. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So in general, yeah, the Big East is bad.
Yeah.
I think we're at the point where it would take a horrific season for that to matter for us.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if you want to say where it matters is, you probably have to win 11 games in the Big East instead of 10 to even have a shot now.
Yeah.
But
maybe 12.
Again, it's control what you can control. If they're bad teams, then they're easier to beat, so you're more likely to get more wins.
Yeah. Well, Creighton's also going to be loved by the metrics as evidenced by the fact that they're 6th because they beat the shit out of bad teams. Like, if you continue doing that, it's like last year. Creighton wasn't good record-wise last year, but like their results, the amount of how much they lost 13 games last year, so 12 going into the tournament, and they still got a 6 seed.
And I want to know where the sentiment came from in our fan base where, like, we don't put away bad teams.
Yeah, that's not true.
What are you talking about?
That's not true at all.
Over the last, 7 years, we have done more burying of games than most teams you'll watch in college basketball.
Yeah, by game Creighton's been one of the freest bets all year.
Yeah. We will win and cover the spread way more often than, again, we have not lost and I can say this now because we're out of bye games. We have not lost a bye game since 2013.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. That's not an accident.
Mm-hmm.
They get ahead and they cruise. Did we win by 26 instead of 33 a couple of times last year because we put bench guys in? Yeah, we did.
Mm-hmm.
Did we have those games with the Baby Jays where we played SIU to the buzzer? Yeah, but what were the expectations for that team? Those weren't crazy results. You forget at the end of that year we were like Ken Pom 55 or something like that.
Yeah, that team was. Yeah, I mean you won by 12 against St. Thomas to start last year, and I think you've covered every bye game since.
Yeah. So we'll move on. I ran a poll again, kind of in the spirit of quarter season, looking back on what could have been. Nemhard and Kaluma. Kaluma's off to a really good start. Nemhard's off to, let's call it a decent start.
Generous.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are okay. They're pretty similar, honestly, to what he did for us, just maybe on a worse team. So the question was, what would you rather ride with this season? So option A was Nemhard and Kaluma both stay. B was Nemhard paired with the Miller-Trout platoon we've got going on. C was Ashworth and Kaluma, or D, the current alignment, Ashworth with the platoon. So, as you might expect, people are big fans of Miller and Trout. People were not super big fans of Kaluma when he left.
Yeah.
The winning option so far was option B, so it was Nemhard paired with Miller and Trout was 60% of the vote, with over 130 votes in, so thanks everybody. Option D came second, so Ashworth with Miller and Trout got 33% of the vote. Only 7% said they would have rather had Kaluma over Miller and Trout, with 4% favoring Ashworth, 3% favoring Nemhard, but that's so small in counts that I don't think the difference there is relevant. I mean, thoughts before we go through numbers?
I think I feel pretty confidently in saying, and I guess we'll see how it looks in Big East play. As of now, I think Miller and Trout are definitely the better fit for this team and what they're doing. Kaluma's doing well, Kansas State, good for him. I don't really harbor any ill will towards him. I hope he does well.
He was the one we all knew was leaving, right? And we were all pretty okay with it, so I'm not going to look back and claim anything.
It's an amicable divorce. You still love each other, but it's not the right time and place.
I don't know if he still loves us.
I won't touch.
So we'll go through the numbers real quick. So Nemhard has found the only coach in the country who will play him more than Mac did. He's only averaging 34 minutes a game. I say only because that's actually down from last year. But he's played 40 in 3 games this year, including the loss to Washington. Averaging 12 points a game, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, so his counting stats look good. His O rating is only 105, which is down from, I believe, 108 with us last year. 48% on twos, 75 two-point attempts, only 33 attempts, and he's shooting 20% on those. So he's also 2.8 turnovers per game, which is up almost a full turnover from last year.
His usage rate, I believe, is up a lot.
It is up a lot.
Because his turnover rate is from 17.1 to 19.5, which is relatively
higher, but
higher, but not.
Given what he's being expected to do, it's not a crazy change. Contrasted with Ashworth is playing 29 minutes a game. 9 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, so down in the counting stats, but a 122 O rating, shooting 50% from 2 and 41% from 3, averaging half as many turnovers per game.
Yeah, and I think to contextualize it a bit, Gonzaga has played a harder schedule. We've played one real team, really. So again, we'll see what Ashworth, Miller, and Trout look like against real teams, which is this weekend onward, basically. But I feel pretty confident, at least in the Trout, Miller being better suited for this team with Kaluma. And I think part of it also is what Trey, Kalkbrenner, and Shireman have done to step up. They're all, I think I saw today, they're all averaging over 15 and 6. So I think Miller and Trout is probably a downgrade rebounding. But you've had other guys pick the slack up, which I think has been big. And again, you talk about role, and they do what they're asked of, and they don't try to do more. They don't need to do more. Like, you sit in the corner, you shoot 3.
Yep,
that's it.
Yep.
Get a rebound if it comes to you. Maybe play a little defense.
Well, sticking with the point guards for now. So Nemhard has taken 105 shots this year. Ashworth's taken 62. Nemhard's averaging 0.75 points per shot. Ashworth's 1.2 points per shot. Right? So the question is clearly efficiency and fit at the point guard system is which one do you value more?
Yeah.
And I think Trey has been bad this season in relative to his expectations, right? and it's still a ridiculously efficient offense.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So him having the lowest O rating on the team besides Doetzler, Ashworth ceding the ball to him, and it still being a very efficient offense speaks to what the ceiling is with Trey on, whereas that may not have been possible with Nemhard taking 106 shots.
Yeah.
Right. The rim pressure is different. We've said that all along. It's the favorite talking point of the fan base so far the year on the subject. The lob game is noticeably gone.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like Trey can't throw them. He's probably got 6 turnovers this year on trying to throw lobs.
Yeah, Ashworth probably has another 6.
I don't think he's tried that often.
He's thrown a couple.
I would have said he has 2 or 3 turnovers on it compared to like maybe 1 success.
Yeah.
Ashworth not assisting as much as you might expect. He has not had the ball in his hands, again, nearly as much as you would expect.
Mm-hmm.
Counting stats off also down compared to usage. His usage is pretty low, especially compared to Nemhard.
He falls into the same bracket as Trout and Miller when it comes to usage rate.
Yeah. I don't want people, though, to get hung up on the defensive difference, because I think people are saying that because it's an easy thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Ashworth, the 5'10" white guy, can't play defense, right? True, to a sense. Nemhard couldn't either.
Yeah.
You know, like, if you're evaluating what is defense in the Creighton system, it's the ability to run somebody off the three-point line.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing a pretty good job of that. It's getting over screens. He's doing a very good job of that at times.
He's going to get very tested in that this weekend.
Yes, he is. So Nemhard, that was my one criticism of him at times last year, was he was not working hard enough getting around screens.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to be a problem with Ashworth. So if you're talking about the couple of times a game or season where he's going to get isolated, yeah, he's probably a slightly worse version of Nemhard, but over the course of the season, you might give up 12 more points in that situation.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, I mean, like you said, Ashworth is limited physically, and it's not like Nemhard is some 6'5" point guard who can shut someone down like Nemhard was too. Like, they're both small, thinner frame guys. And I think, you know, if they're going to play one-on-one, or if I had to have them each guard someone in isolation, I'd probably take Nemhard, but I think Ashworth does a great job of understanding the system, playing in his role. I thought in Tominaga, like, he did a good job hedging. He's always in the right spot. Same thing, Iowa. He's in the right spot. He's just the 5'10", 165-pound white guy. He's going to have limitations, but I think he gives effort. He plays hard. He knows what to do, which, again, like, he does what you're asking for him a lot.
Yeah, so honestly, I think you can justify going either way at the point guard spot.
I think the only combination that I really, of any of the 4 that I really can't get behind, would be Ashworth Kaluma.
Yeah, I agree completely. Because at least Nemhard Kaluma, you have continuity, you have more rebounding. You know, it's a little more versatile, a little more athletic.
Yeah.
I agree. So, talking about Kaluma now, he's somehow playing 35 minutes a game. Played 44 against Nova. His points per game is up. He's 16.5 points per game, 9 rebounds, but his O rating is only 112. 52% from 2, 39% from 3, so shooting the best 3-point percentage of his career. Almost 1.1 points per shot. So having a nice season, albeit 3 turnovers per game, which is high.
To be expected.
Yeah, which shocker. But like, I don't think people realize that's up a full turnover from last year. He is turning the ball over 50% more than he did last year, somehow. Yeah, like, we talked. The whole subject in the preseason preview was negative plays by Kaluma. Are we cutting them out? The answer is definitively yes.
Yeah.
And it's noticeable.
I mean, Miller and Trout have had probably like 3 plays this year where you yell at him and say, "You fucking idiot," where Kaluma would have 3.5.
Yeah. How many times have we turned the ball over in transition this year? Like, a few, maybe? Yeah. Yeah, it's a completely different look. They are doing exactly what you ask of them and not not a damn thing more, but at the same time, what they're doing is...
I don't really want them to try to do more.
No, they're shooting a combined 55% from three on 55 attempts.
Yeah.
Like, what else are you going to ask of anybody?
Yeah.
You know, they're collectively playing as one of the best players in the country.
Well, Isaac Trout has the highest O rating of anyone in the country. Which, again, usage rate is... Would I take some players on offense over Isaac Trout? Yeah, I would. But you can't. And to be clear, like when we say they're not doing anything more than what you ask for, like we don't want them to do more.
No, I don't need Mason like dribble driving and trying to dunk in the lane. Like, I know he's kind of got that a little bit, but there's a reason he's not doing it. Yeah.
Next year, fella.
Next year, when you're playing the three, you can start opening that up. But yeah, so they're both playing anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes per game, depending on the opponent, which I love that Greg is using them that way. 14 points per game combined, 7 each, 7 boards, so you're giving up 2 to Kaluma there. Like you said, it's a little bit of a drop-off in rebounding, but not much. 2 assists per game, so exactly the same. Their combined O rating is 157.1.
Yeah.
You know, with Trout being at 160. They're shooting 80% inside the arc, so when they are getting twos, they're dunks and layups.
Yeah, I was going to say, when we say arc, like you can either say three-point arc or restricted arc.
And from three, Trout's 16 of 31, Mason's 14 of 24.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
You know, Mason is also, I think, leading the country at 1.7 points per shot, and Trout's at 1.6. So combining for 1.63 points per shot. Yeah. That's ridiculous. And combining for 2.2 less turnovers than Kaluma per game. Mm-hmm. Invaluable.
Yeah, they've done it. Yeah, they've done a great job. And to speak to turnovers, I mean, you have Farabella shooting 42%, Miller shooting 58%, Trout shooting 52%, Ashworth 41%, Shireman 39%, Kalkbrenner 38%, Trey's the worst at 31%. But when shots get on the rim, good things happen. You just can't turn the ball. If any possession for us ends in a shot, it's probably okay.
Yeah.
Like, turnovers are really the only thing that can limit the offense.
I mean, honestly, our team 3-point percentage is what, like 1.3 points per possession? Higher?
We're shooting 40.2% from three.
So roughly
quick math is like, 1.21.
Yeah, so you're going to take that, right? Throw in some dunks there, you're just going to take that.
Yeah.
It's a smart offense. If you're not turning the ball over, it's going to be ridiculously efficient.
Yeah. 13th in 3-point percentage, 3rd in 2-point. We're shooting 62.7% on twos. Yeah. And if Trey would chuck up shit mid-ranges, that number would probably be about 70.
Yeah. Well, so I think I mean, if you had to pick of the 4 options.
Again, it's tough because this team they've played one team and they got killed by them.
Right.
And I guess against that team, Miller didn't even play. I think if I had to, I would take Nembhard and Trout Miller. But
I think that's the way I'm leaning. I think there are games coming up where Ashworth will not be a huge factor. I think we saw it a little bit that there are going to be games that Farabello just plays more. Mm-hmm. And I don't have a problem with that right now. To do a little bit of a roster rundown, Ashworth, limited attempts from 3, but he's shooting 41%. Do you think he needs to shoot more?
Yeah, a little bit. I think there are times he's passive, and I think part of it is this is complete speculation, but he seems like a very good guy who is like, I don't want to come in and mess this team up, and I think he doesn't want to steal shots. Could be complete speculation, but just the vibe I get of him is nice guy, where sometimes he needs to be more aggressive and like, dude, you're one of the best 3-point shooters in the country. You get an open window, take it. Like, I'm never going to complain about a semi-open catch in rhythm Ashworth 3.
Mitch Ballack says you're a better 3-point shooter than him. You should probably shoot more than what? He's shot 46 threes this year. I think Baylor has almost double that number. So.
Baylor has 78. Yeah. Baylor almost shot more than that in the Nebraska game alone.
So Trey, we've talked about him a lot. He's got the lowest O rating on the team except Doetzler. 31% from 3, 42% on 2-pointers that aren't close, so non-layup or
Dunk.
glass or dunk, yeah. How concerned, I think, is the question.
Starting to be a little.
Yeah. If you asked me 3 games ago, I would have said not at all.
Yeah. He had a decent game against Central Michigan, I think. But, yeah, I'm getting a little concerned. He just can't hit the mid-range shot, really. He's not getting a ton going, and, I mean, yeah, 3-point shooting hasn't really been great.
And he's starting slow every game. Like I had joked for a couple of games that it's becoming a thing. It's beyond a thing now. He starts like shit almost every game now.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you do to fix that. You have to run the offense through him because there are going to be times where Ashworth just cannot dribble penetrate enough to create anything. So he has to do that to avoid us getting stagnant.
Yeah.
And Baylor's helping him, and we'll get to that. But, yeah, he just has to be better for us to beat good teams this year.
Yep.
But speaking of had to be better, I mean, Baylor...
A+.
A+ this
Team
season.
MVP.
Yeah.
8th in KenPom Player of the Year ratings. Don't have to say a ton. A+. More mature. Gotten used to I think he's gotten used to Big East speed. Big East athletes. Turnover rates down from 18 to 12.8. Assist rates up. 3-point shooting's up a little bit. Yeah, A+.
Yeah. He's the best rebounder on the team.
Yep.
He's still showing he's a capable distributor. He's throwing less crazy passes than he did last year.
Yep.
Even though he probably could this year a little bit. And yeah, he's making the offense run. He's added the dribble drive to his game. He's crafty. He's learned how to finish against more athletic players. I think he still has, I mentioned it, I think also in our preseason preview, that little back down game against smaller guards.
Yeah.
Because I'll be interested to see if teams start changing the way they play defensively against us. To maybe take him out in favor of Trey shooting from outside. Like, I don't think that was a lot of teams' plans before the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't ask any more than what he's done so far.
He's also done a great job defense. Like, the defense he had on Mast was huge in the Nebraska game. He gave up size and took him out of the game, which let Kalkbrenner go on Alec, a.k.a. no one, and we essentially played 4-on-5 on offense.
Right. Mason and Isaac we've talked about enough.
Yep.
I mean,
A+, good job.
Trout, like the only thing you could say against him is his defense.
Yeah, his defense isn't good.
But we'll pick and choose his matchups in Big East play.
Yeah.
We saw a little bit against Central Michigan. He played the 5 for a couple minutes while Kalk was on the bench.
Yeah, and did we do that against Nebraska and go small for a bit with Baylor?
I don't
at the
think
4?
so.
I think we're going to see that sometimes.
I agree.
I think we're going to see Kalkbrenner, Baylor, Ashworth, Trey, Farabello.
Yeah, I think that will happen. Not sure which team break it out against. Like, I'm trying to think maybe a Seton Hall or something like that just to test it out.
No, Providence. Here's Hopkins too big.
Hopkins. Baylor could probably guard Hopkins about as well as anyone else. Like, I don't think anyone on our team is doing that well.
Yeah.
So, Kalk this year, it's a little up and down. His O rebounds is up. His D rebounds is slightly up, I think. He's 80% at the rim. His little jump hooks are like 55%, which I think is similar to where it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
He's not overdoing the 3. He's hitting just enough of them where teams are stepping out on him. His usage is low. It's lower than when King's in the game. I'm not really concerned. I think that will open up a little bit as the team gets more comfortable learning how to feed him.
Yeah. Oh, I do want to make one quick point on Kalkbrenner here. He picked up his second foul with like 8 minutes left first half, which was a terrible call, but whatever. We benched him for the rest of the first half to play King. I like Fred King, and I'll fully admit could have just been matchup. King was going to get run anyways. Give him it now. That can't happen if that happens in the right. If he picks up his second with 8 minutes left against Alabama, you just got to trust him and ride him. You can sit him till the under 4 or something, but you can't auto bench him. One of his great tools is not fouling. You can't, and I don't think he picked up another foul the rest of the game. And again,
I don't remember. No, he didn't.
Yeah, he didn't. So
not that Central Michigan.
Yeah, not that it's Central Michigan, but it's just I feel strongly about that in general. Is auto benching hurts yourself. I think it's a terrible strategy overall.
Well, okay, so I'll ask you the question. He gets his eighth foul. Or he gets his second foul at the 10-minute mark in the first. What do you do?
Just put him in at 6 minutes.
Okay, yeah, that's about what I was thinking.
Put him in 6 minutes. If he picks up his third, he's done for the rest of the half and starts the second half.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's becoming not conventional wisdom.
I don't see it much.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it's just a matter. Like, so you sit him for. So he picks it up. Wait, what did you say? 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So you sit him for 10 minutes, and then he doesn't pick up a foul the rest of the game. He sits 2 minutes. Like, the most possible minutes he can play now is 28.
Right.
Where if you sit it, there's a chance he just doesn't get a foul the rest of the game.
Yeah.
He averaged 1.7 last year.
Yeah, and teams, here's the thing too. I worry about this way more than I think other teams do. Nobody hunts fouls.
Yeah.
That's gone as an art form. You'll never see teams isolate the guy with 4 fouls. It just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
And I
think some of that is the way it's refereed.
Yeah, where I think they just won't.
In the 2015 national championship game when Jaleel Okafor picked up his 4th with 13 minutes left, didn't get benched, and stabbed Frank Kaminsky 6 times and didn't get his 5th.
How did I have a feeling that's where that was going?
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's part of it. I think
that.
also just coaches generally don't think about that.
Yeah.
For as much as we talk these guys up as masters of X's and O's in their craft, sometimes I think they do just really miss simple things.
It's a very funny dichotomy where Kalkbrenner is that important that him getting 2 fouls has to be sat out because him getting another foul would be such a big deal. Yet I do not care about anyone's foul trouble on the other team.
Right.
One of those two things isn't true.
Yeah. Anything else on Kalk?
Not really. I think he's kind of gotten a bad rep. I think he's been better than some people acknowledge.
I think
some people think he's fallen off this season. It's a different role.
Your namesake brother in there.
Oh, yeah.
Other Dennis. Yeah, I got to stop
Remember
him from that, too.
when I got in a fight on Twitter after the San Diego State game because I thought the guy was shitting on me. He was saying, oh, fuck Dennis. Fuck you. He's like, Dennis. Yeah.
That's right.
So I feel like an asshole. My bad.
Yeah, no. Hating on Kalk is just one of those things that I think you do if you don't really understand basketball and why he's so important to the game. I don't care that he's not going to be a good NBA player. I do not give a flying fuck, and I don't think he does either. He is exactly what he is. He has chosen to play this way and be one of the best college players in the country. So I'll take that. Farabello, boy, he's pretty much doing everything you can ask. Yep. And I'll just address this while we keep saying A+. Guys, stop tweeting at me and saying I'm like a mean professor for giving role players B's and B+. Those are good grades.
Yeah.
That means you are doing exactly what is asked of you. I'm not giving you an A+ if you played 12 minutes and had 3 points. I'm just not doing it. So shut the fuck up about that. I know, I don't even understand the criticism. Are you really getting bent out of shape because I gave Josiah Dotzler a B instead of a B+?
I think he deserved
when
a
I was
B.
going to say when I think it could have been worse than that.
I'm giving him a D, so you're lucky I didn't tweet it out.
I'm not just giving guys an A because we beat buttfuck nowhere Michigan by 30. I'm just not doing that. I don't care if it's I have integrity about my grades or whatever, but fuck that. But no, Bella's playing well. He is winning the prop bet of if he will have a better percentage than Baylor this year, despite Baylor having as good of a season as you can ask from him so far. The defense is smart. He's, again, not a great one-on-one defender, but nobody's asking him to be. Sticks his hands in at the right time. He's actually had quite a few steals this year in big spots, in what few big spots we've had anyways. Yeah. Nothing much else to say.
No.
Fred King, I'm worried about, is getting a little overrated by the fan base.
I'm probably somewhat responsible.
I was going to say, I think I'm guilty of hyping him a little bit.
Part of it is Fred King's just a fun name to say and got to hype up. Like Fred King, when he puts down a hard talk, how can you not yell Fred King?
Well, and I've said too on this podcast where I'm I always fall in love with the Jays backup big. Yeah. It's he's a great backup big.
Yep.
I think 98, 99% of the teams in the country would kill to have him as a backup.
Yeah.
And probably 80% of the country would kill to have him as a starter.
Yeah.
He's not Kalkbrenner.
No, he's not.
Just like if you're thinking we're not going to drop off at the center position next year, stop thinking that. It is going to be a world different on defense. His solo defense has gotten better since last year. He still hacks the shit out of everybody, but like a little
Not
less.
as much. Yeah, not as much.
His team defense is still awful.
Yeah.
He still looks completely lost on pick and rolls.
Yeah.
His rotations are like not slow, because I think he actually does like try his absolute hardest every second he's on the floor. They're just wrong. Like he's not always going to the right place or being efficient about it. He's a great rebounder. He's a great putback guy.
Yeah.
Which is awesome for the team we have.
Yeah.
He's exactly what we need as a backup center.
Yeah. I mean, really, I think everyone on the team, with the exception of Trey and maybe Ashworth a little bit, is if you gave them their role assignment at the start of the year, we need you to do this, they're doing it pretty perfectly.
Yeah.
I think Ashworth maybe a little more scoring. Trey, don't shit the bed the first 15 minutes of every game. Maybe make more than 31% of threes. But everyone else, you're like, yeah, do this, this, and this, and we'll be very happy. And everyone's done it.
Yep. So not gonna get too much on him, but with these next guys, it's mostly about thinking about next year. Lawson, Doetzler, Green. I don't really know what to think about any of these guys yet.
I'm not a Doetzler fan.
I liked his first couple games.
Yeah, I didn't think he like I said, I would have given him a D against Central Michigan, so you're a better man than me. Green, raw, rusty, plays hard, we'll see.
I don't think he's a starter next year. Like people who are already giving him that role, like people who are like, "Oh, I'm excited to see him run the point next year." I'm like, "No, you're not."
Oh, Doetzler?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking Green. I was like, the fuck is he starting over?
No. Yeah, but I've seen people tweet that like, "Oh, I can't wait to see him running the show next year." Like he's not.
Yeah,
we are transferring in a point guard next year. I'll tell you that much right now.
Yeah, we don't need to do that.
No. I did mention this too in a tweet, and I think it's worth talking. Like we're gonna have a lot of forward depth next year, but I don't know how you figure a starting lineup out of any of it.
Nice at 3.
Yeah, but Trout and King both playing defense at the same time. Like
Don't score a layup.
What the hell do you do there? You gotta start playing a 3-2? Like, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. A lot of season left this year for guys to figure shit out. I'll be excited to watch next year's team. It'll be interesting. You transfer in an elite guard, and then you're right back in the
Frankie Fiddler.
That's not an elite guard. Like everyone like getting mad at me for that tweet. I'm like, what? Bring him in as like the 9th man? Yeah, I'm sorry that caused such a fuss. Like, let's not get out of control here and think he's going to be a starter. I think it would be fun. I haven't looked yet at guys who like I want Mahoney. Like I wanted him last year. I was hoping he would transfer.
Yeah.
I think that's actually possible too, especially with the way they're playing this year.
Big road win against the Rams.
Yeah. Oh, they gotta lose that. I had to lose that, and they didn't. But yeah, so that I think will just about conclude our quarter season review of the Blue Jays so far.
Yeah.
We're going to do more of a national one, I think, coming up.
Grab bag, more airing of grievances.
We'll tie that into our Alabama game preview as well. I guess we could talk a little bit about UNLV right now. They're not very good, but it's a trap game, so anything could happen, I guess.
Yeah.
What are we, 11-point favorites?
I think it's going to be like 14.
Yeah. Don't lose.
Yeah, don't lose. UNLV is not good. They play kind of fast.
It would only be a quad 2, I think, but don't lose.
Well, is it quad 2? Because it's technically neutral site.
Oh, that's right. God,
That
that backfired on us a little bit.
What's the point of that? Just play them at their place. It's not like they're going to have some ruckus home crowd. It's fucking Las Vegas.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that'll do it for us, so we'll check in with you guys later this week.